15 weeks of training, my first 80-20 plan, the hard work is in the bag, and it's time to get ready for the race. Hello and welcome back to The Vegan Runner. Thank you for watching. Right, 80-20 half marathon plan level 1, weeks 12 to 15. The final 3 weeks of the plan. It feels like a lifetime ago since I started this plan way back in February, and I'm feeling grateful that the plan has gone really well. My body has adapted to the extra load and we're getting ready for race day. More on that in a little bit, but first up, let's take an in-depth look at the final few weeks of training. So week 13 is 46 miles, 5 hours and 49 minutes. 2,769 feet of elevation. As ever, we always start the week with a rest day before our first speedwork session of the week on Tuesday, which was a steady state run. This hour-long session saw me warming up and cooling down for 10 minutes apiece, with a healthy 40-minute chunk of Zone X running in between. Zone X is the zone sandwiched between Zone 2 and 3. It's usually a kind of no man's land for training. It's not slow enough for recovery or endurance work, and it's not quick enough to get those type 2 muscle fibers firing either, but the authors of 80-20 like to include a little bit of Zone X running throughout the 15-week block to bridge the gap between the two zones on either side. I enjoyed this session. I always like a run where I can get into a steady rhythm and flow and, roll along for a decent stretch. There aren't too many of these in the 80-20 plan at a higher than Zone 2 effort, so it made a nice change. Wednesday and Thursday are both recovery run days, with the majority of running in Zone 2, 45 minutes for the first session, and then a pretty hefty hour-long session on Thursday. We've had a couple of these long recovery runs now, but they seem to make sense as we head towards the end of the training block. And you're not pushing really hard. I still feel refreshed and ready for the next speedwork session on Friday, which was a 5k paced intervals run. Most of the training is time-based in the 80-20 plan, which makes it really accessible to everyone. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you run. In these plans, you're going to be on your feet for the same amount of time, getting those miles in. But occasionally throughout the plan, there are a few distance-based sessions, and the 5k based intervals is one of them. A 2-kilometre warm-up in zones 1 and 2 were followed by 8 lots of 600 metres at 5k race pace with 100 metres of walking rest in between each one. I really loved these. It reminded me of my old training, and I was able to kind of reflect on how far I'd come since I last trained for the 5k. I'm looking forward to the return of Park Run, and I'm sure I'll have a good blast on a nice flat course to see what stood in the legs, but it's been good. Saturday was another 45-minute recovery run, and then Sunday's run was pretty special and has led me to make some pretty big decisions after running it. It was another distance-based workout called a half marathon paced run with 2 kilometres of warm-up followed by 13 kilometres of running at your goal pace. I had 2 places in mind to run this as a recce for my PB attempt and decided to try the place where I've got my quickest 10k time, which is a place called Burrator Reservoir. However, on arriving I remembered actually just how undulating it was. It's not quite as fast and flat as I remembered. Never mind, I ploughed on with the session and I was excited to see if I could get near my target pace, which I thought would be around about a 6:30 minute mile. Well, I did. I got quite near to my target pace. In fact, I ran a fair bit faster over those 8 miles and I managed an average of a 6:10 minute mile. I was really buzzing after finished that run, but I realised that Burrator wasn't going to enable me to run my fastest half possible. I needed a properly flat course, so I'll get to what happened next once we've got through weeks 14 and 15. Right, week 14, 38 miles, 5 hours of running and 2,470 feet of elevation climbed. This week starts to see the time running just ease up a bit as we let the body recover from the long block of training. We're preparing for race day now. That said, we still have 2 speed sessions this week and they're not getting any easier yet. Over/under intervals was first up on Tuesday, and these are so tough. After a 10-minute warm-up, you run for 3 minutes in zone 3 and then 4 minutes in zone Y. The zone between 3 and 4, I don't know, and then you have like a 2-minute rest and then repeat the whole thing twice more. There's something about that gear change from zone 3 to zone Y that I just find really tricky for that effort over 7 minutes as well. I think I got the pacing a little bit wrong in the zone 3 interval. Sometimes on the terrain that I'm running on, it's kind of tricky to gauge the pace that you should be going on. So it's basically a field. It's kind of soft, bits of it are uphill, bits of it are downhill. It's kind of tricky to gauge where you're at in terms of your pace. So I try it by effort and by heart rate, but for the first kind of minute or two, when you're running with your heart rate, it takes a little while for it to kind of get to where it needs to be. So it's hard to judge. I don't know. I think I went too fast for the zone 3 effort, and yeah, ended up suffering for the longer, harder effort later on. Anyway, once again, this week sees a 45-minute and a 1-hour recovery run on Wednesday and Thursday before the next speed session on Friday, which was a progression run. I like these, a solid block of running where you gradually get faster, running from the lactate threshold pace or zone 3, then to critical velocity, which is basically zone 4, then a 2-minute blast in maximal aerobic speed or zone 5. It was really tough at the end there, but it's just one of those workouts that leaves you smiling after finishing it. Now on to Saturday and something a bit different. I actually didn't run. Sad to say, I had a 45-minute recovery run scheduled, but I just wasn't feeling it. And that's the first run in 15 weeks of running 6 times a week that I've skipped a session. Now I think I've got a pretty good excuse. My wife and I are house hunting at the moment, and on Friday night I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing and I found it really tough to just shut down. Then on Saturday there was a fair bit of driving and more excitement about seeing a house that we might end up buying. My body was still feeling exhausted from Friday's session, and I could just feel if I push myself out to run, I might do myself a bit more harm than good. So I think it was the right choice, as by Sunday I was ready and raring to go again for the hour and 20-minute long run. The legs felt light and fresh, and I was cutting through the headwind on top of the moors like a knife through vegan butter. Right, week 15. Now, as I film, it's Thursday, 2 days out from race day, so I can't give you all the stats for this week, but I can tell you what's come so far and what I'll be doing in 24 hours time. I'm excited. Stick around. This last week really takes a step back from the heavy load of training as we enter the taper week before race day, but it still includes a little speed work. I was a little surprised to see a fartlek session penciled in for Tuesday, but I opened up the plan on Training Peaks and the little detailed note about the session reassured me. One of the most common mistakes runners make when tapering for races is eliminating or cutting back too much on high intensity. The science is clear. Runners race better when their taper training includes judicious amounts of fast running. Well, there you have it then. This session was fairly straightforward and a nice easy one really. 6 lots of 1-minute blasts in zone 4. Lovely. A nice leg stretcher before race day. Now then, Wednesday and Thursday we were supposed to have a 45-minute and then a 30-minute recovery run, but because race day has moved forward a day, I did the 45-minute recovery session on Wednesday as planned, then the 25-minute fast finish run on Thursday, which is basically 20 minutes in zone 2, then 5 minutes at zone 4 to finish off. I skipped out the recovery run so I could squeeze the last recovery run in on Friday, the day before race day. And this is just 20 minutes long, and I think it's just designed to keep the legs ticking over and ready to race. Right, so exciting news. So after running that half marathon paced run a couple of Sundays ago and feeling great about the pace I achieved over that course and that elevation, I realised that I just wanted to do the training justice and really let loose. Borough Tour and my other planned route just wasn't going to allow me to do that. So on that Sunday afternoon, after getting back from Borough Tour, I sat down with my laptop and scoured the web for a half marathon event that was happening on this coming weekend. I managed to find Dorney Lakes in Windsor, a pancake fast flat course with 4 loops of the lakes that was the venue for the Olympic rowing in 2016. So tomorrow evening my wife and I are heading up to Windsor, about a 4-hour drive from here in Devon, and I've managed to find a little Airbnb for the weekend. Hopefully all will go well and I'll wake up on Saturday morning with a short drive to the venue and get going for what I hope will be a sub 80-minute marathon. I'm almost certain I'll get a PB. My current best time is 1 hour and 26 minutes, so I'm feeling confident. If the conditions are good and all goes well, fingers crossed I can really smash that PB. I'm excited. It's been a long journey to this point. I'm really proud of my training block and I'm pretty much in the best place possible to achieve something special. We just have to hope it all goes well on race day. It's not too windy, not too wet, all those kind of things, but you know, you can't control that. It is what it is. But I will of course be updating you on how it went in the next video, so until then, wish me luck, thanks for watching and be the best you.